Hi everyone, Kristina Werner here. Welcome to another video for SimonSysStamp.com. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you a really fun idea for something to do with really large greeting stamps, like these two really large greetings from the XL greetings stamp set from Simon. I'm going to show you how to make them super colorful and really easy to do. You can do multiples of these cards. In fact, I'm going to do 2 of each card design today, and I will let you know how long it took at the end of the video. I first selected all of my different ink colors. So I've got 6 different inks from Simon. I've got Taffy, Bubblegum, Lemonade, TIDEPOOL, AEGEAN, and Royal. I'm going to get out my MISTI stamp positioning tool. You do want a stamping platform for this particular technique. It's going to make it a lot easier to get things lined up. I also have 4 prepared card bases. These are made out of Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 110-pound cardstock. And I'm going to place one of my cards inside my MISTI, just down here in the bottom corner. And I really want to make sure it's in that corner. It's going to make this so much easier as I get going here. All right, so I'm going to pick out my first stamp. We'll do this really large script. And this is so big that this can just be the card design itself. You don't have to do much else to it. So I'm going to start with taffy ink. And I'm actually going to put a little bit of white cardstock underneath the stamp over here so you can see what I'm doing as well. I'm just going to start by adding a little bit of this pink ink just on the corner of the greeting. I'll stamp that down. It's going to want to stick because it's a really large stamp. And then I'm going to remove this and I'm going to put in one of my other card bases. I'm going to do 2 different stamps, the 2 large greeting stamps. So I'm going to do 2 of each card design. All right, I'm going to ink up that little corner again. Push that in the corner and then stamp down. It's really important that you make sure and double check that your card is in the corner of your MISTI, because we're going to keep stamping this over and over again and we don't want it to start shifting around. All right, I'm going to go to my next color, which is Bubblegum. I'm not going to bother cleaning off my stamp because most of that color is gone. So I'm just going to add some of that Bubblegum going right across. Make sure that's in that corner. Get that right there. And now we have the color kind of continuing on. Before I change colors, I'm going to switch back to that first one. And I'm going to ink up that same area with my bubblegum ink. And I'll stamp again. All right. So I've got that pink in there. I'm now going to move to Lemonade. Now, yellow ink pads tend to really grab any color that is not yellow itself. So I'm going to clean off this pink right here that's really going to overlap. I'm just going to clean that off a little bit to make sure that I don't have any of that yellow transfer. All right, so now I'm going to get some of that yellow. And I'm going to test and make sure that yellow is going to show. Looks like it's overlapping that pink a little too much. So I'm going to bring it down. Probably won't have room to get all of my colors on this today. All right. Bring that yellow in. You can even see where it overlapped. It became an orange, which I'm totally okay with. All right. I'm going to come to the other card and ink this one up as well. Get that yellow down, really press onto my MISTI. Okay, I'm going to add, I probably got room for just one more color, so I'm going to go ahead and move to TIDEPOOL. And I'm just going to finish up that color right there. And it's going to cover up all the yellow. So let's take some of that off up here. There we go. Then we have it just transition a little bit down. It's a little hard to see because my lights are really bright, but you can see how those colors sort of transition down. I'm going to go to my other one. And I really just need this bottom corner. Check that corner again. And stamp that down. All right, so that card design is pretty much done. If you wanted to add some sequins or something like that, that would be really, really cute. So I've got both of these cards done super, super fast and easy. Now let's try a similar technique, but we're going to try to do a reverse. So we have a really colorful background, and then we're going to stamp our greeting in white, or rather emboss it in white. I'm going to get a similar look, but as a full square by using a gel press. So I've got my gel presser right here. I'm just going to stick it to the top of my MISTI. It's gonna stick right there, and it'll be a little bit easier to see with the white grid underneath. So what I'm gonna do is take each one of these card bases, and I'll be placing it down onto the gel press and transferring the ink there. So I'm gonna first start out with that taffy color, and I'm just gonna start getting a nice amount of ink right there. And then I'm just going to press my card down into that ink. And it's gonna be a little bit lighter. Oh, unless I'm getting ink smudge, but that's okay. And I'll lift this up, and now I have a really strong amount of ink, and it looks really great there too. So I'm going to come in with my bubble gum, trying to get kind of that same area, but if it's not the same area, that's totally okay. In fact, you know what? I'll use this piece of scratch paper over top so I can really get those edges. Then I'll lift up my card base. And now we've got that taffy and bubblegum. I'm going to put that right to the side so I can sort of see what's happening. Like I did before, I'm going to clean off that area while I use my yellow, just because the yellow inks really, or ink pads really pick everything up. So I have to remember, okay, so it's rotated like this, so it's going to be about coming down like this. Nice big yellow area. I'll place that down, get my scratch paper and just press that. So now we have that yellow coming down. I'm going to grab TIDEPOOL and press that down. Super easy to make a background like this. In fact, I'm not even doing the second one. I'll walk you through it, and maybe we'll start with different colors for the second one. I love how that turned out. That looks really, really cool. I'm going to go ahead and go to the darkest green, which is AEGEAN. And we're just going to try to get this right here. And I'm going to apply that right there. I'm trying to not let it get too far up into the previous colors. Okay, that looks really, really cool. A little bit of space down here for Royal. So we'll just do just that bottom corner. All right, looks like a really, really cool background. This looks a little bit messy right here, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come in and I'm just going to do another layer of that. I want kind of like I want just a slightly cleaner line for that. So then I'll just take a rag and I'm going to soften that edge. And then I'm going to try to kind of, okay, it needs to be about right there. Press that down. lift up, and it really did kind of soften that just a little bit. All right, so let's clean this off, and we're going to do the same thing over again, but I think I'm going to start with the blue. I'm going to start with Royal up at the top. Okay, I just thought of something that might help us as we do this next one. I'm going to bring this down to over the corner of my MISTI. And as I start putting the card down, I'm always going to bring it down to visually this corner. It doesn't have to be exact because I'm kind of overlapping my colors anyway, but it's going to give me a chance to kind of plan where everything's going. And since I have 6 colors, I'm going to try to do about an inch for each color, and they can overlap a little bit, obviously. And that'll help me keep things really organized. So I'm taking the first color, which is Royal, and kind of bring that across right around that 1 inch mark. And take my card, and visually I'm going to get it right there. And then I can put my paper over the top, get that color transferred. Okay, so I have all that blue down there at the bottom. It's looking kind of crazy right there, but that's okay. I'm going to go to my next color, AEGEAN, and this one needs to be roughly between the 2 and the 1, because I kind of want to get like a little bit of a stripe look. So now I'm going to come back to that same area again, put that over the top, press that down, and lift up my card base. All right, there we go. So now I'm on to TIDEPOOL, and this will go between the 3 and the 2, going all the way across on my MISTI. You could also just use like a grid mat, like my glass mat here too. And I'll line that up again. Put that paper down. Really get that color transferred. And I'll lift up. So now I've got TIDEPOOL. And now I'm going to move on to my yellow. And like I did before, I'm going to clean off my surface here just so I don't transfer any ink to the yellow ink pad. Okay, so now I need to go between the 4 and the 3. So just pouncing that on. Sometimes I like to angle it up a little bit on the sides just for something a little different. Okay, press that down. All right, so I've got a little bit of that yellow. All right, so then for the bubble gum, we need it between the 5 and the 4. Press that down. Once again, lining it up in that corner. Got a little bit of that pink. And then up at the very top, we're using TAFFY. All right. Oh, we have a little spot that I missed. So I'm just going to come in right here. Just try to get that in, and I'll put it down right there. Lift that up. There we go. So now I have a really colorful background. I've got 2 of them. I just have to make sure they're completely dry, and then I can do the greeting on top. Okay, I am going to dry these with my heat tool a little bit, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and get my stamp positioned just perfectly. on my stamp positioning tool, just like this. And then I'm going to use my heat tool and just speed dry these to make sure they're completely bone dry. All right, I'm going to put that in the corner of my MISTI. I'm going to apply a generous amount of anti-static powder once again. And then I'm going to be stamping the greeting in white pigment ink. And this is another ink from Simon. And hopefully that'll help us get a really good white look once we put the white embossing powder over top. I'm going to stamp this once. And I'm actually going to stamp it a second time just to make sure I have a really good impression. Actually, that looks pretty good. I don't think I need it a second time. All right, so here's our embossing powder. This is Alabaster embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. All right, there's the first one. And now we're going to go on to the second card. Applying more white embossing powder. All right, it's a little bit hard to see the bright lights in my craft room, but there you go. If you want to add a little bit of shadow underneath these with a gray marker, you definitely could do something like that as well. So here are my cards for today's video. Such a fun way to use a bunch of colorful inks. I hope it gives you an idea of something you can do. I did want to mention that if you don't have a gel press or a jelly plate, you could use a kind of a larger clear stamp and turn it over and use the back of the stamp and do it in a very similar fashion to what I did with the large greeting. You would just make a large area out of it. Thanks so much for watching today. You can get all of the supplies and everything I used over at simonstamp.com. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.